Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. It's a genuinely fascinating psychological mystery. Why is it that a truly brilliant, highly functioning mind can actually get in the way of basic everyday intuition? Today, we're diving right into why a brain that's literally capable of unraveling the universe's most complex problems can somehow still completely fail at the simplest everyday tasks. I mean, think about it. Have you ever easily solved a complex equation or grasped the nuances of some deep philosophy, but then you somehow manage to push a pull door? Or maybe you completely freeze up during a totally basic social interaction. Look, if that sounds like you, trust me, you are absolutely not losing your mind. You are absolutely not alone in this. Actually, there's a name for it. It's a documented phenomenon known as the genius paradox. It basically means your intelligence isn't failing you at all. It's just that, well, common sense isn't always so common for a high-functioning brain. You're just operating on a totally different mental frequency than the people around you. And today, we are going to decode exactly why that happens. So let's look at clue number 1, decoding the logic gap. Let's really break down exactly how a highly intelligent brain actually processes the world. Okay, so it starts with what psychologists call context building. You see, an intelligent brain often just flat out refuses to react to surface level facts. Instead, it automatically starts modeling the environment. It takes all these separate signals and connects them into a much larger, more complex pattern. Why? Because it desperately wants to understand the entire situation in advance. And this creates a pretty unique mental sequence. While everybody else is just relying on basic intuition, you're instantly asking why. You're predicting the next steps, and you're building these massive cause and effect chains. It's like you're running all these complex mental simulations behind the scenes before you make even the most minor, everyday decision. But here's the catch. It results in doing way too much cognitive math for what is, fundamentally, a really simple problem. To the outside world and totally mundane situations, all of this brilliant processing ironically just looks like hesitation or overthinking. Because your mind is just so busy building that massive, complex framework, it can actually cause you to completely miss the incredibly obvious, common sense solutions sitting right there in front of you. Moving right along to clue number 2, the power of the pause. There's actually a very specific hidden feature of your brain that's dictating all these responses. And that feature is cognitive inhibition. Think of it as your executive control creating a distinct mental gap between feeling an impulse and actually taking an action. Honestly, this executive control is the ultimate sign of a razor-sharp mind. It acts as this powerful, built-in pause button. And psychological research completely backs this up, showing that people with higher IQs simply do not respond instantly to everything. They just don't. Because look, common sense demands split-second, automatic instinct, right? It's basically survival mode. But a high IQ mind operates in reasoning mode. So while others are running on pure instinct, you are actively redirecting your cognitive energy towards slower, much more deliberate logic. That mental gap you're creating, that is exactly why you might look a bit out of sync in a world that, let's face it, heavily favors instant, automatic reactions. Which brings us to clue number 3, the boredom reflex. Let's talk about why mundane, everyday tasks feel so uniquely agonizing and frustrating. Here's the thing. Your mind is quite literally wired for deep engagement and intellectual friction. Common sense is, for the most part, just a collection of practical facts that society generally agrees on without really questioning them. But a high-level mind, it naturally rebels against that. It completely refuses to accept practical facts at face value because it's fundamentally designed to dig into the deeper, abstract reasons. Simply put, it wants a challenge. So when you're faced with a simple routine task, like, I don't know, washing dishes or making small talk, there is no complex cause and effect chain. The brain is totally starved of an intellectual struggle, so it literally gets bored. And because it isn't getting that necessary friction, you experience a sudden, massive drop in focus. A drop that less active minds just do not experience when they're doing the exact same chores. All right, now for the twist, the chaos advantage. We've seen why the simple things trip you up, but now we really need to talk about the complexity bias. Get ready for this, because this perceived weakness, this habit of overthinking and hesitating, is actually a hidden superpower. The exact mechanism causing your everyday awkwardness is literally an elite survival skill. Since your brain is so highly trained to recognize what actually matters in a massive sea of data, you have a truly unique advantage when things start to get intense. I mean, think about it. For normal brains, getting hit with more information just leads to confusion and paralysis. But a high IQ mind, it thrives. More complexity actually makes your mind sharper. You lock in, you completely filter out the noise, and you perform at your absolute peak in total chaos. When the stakes are highest and the environment is at its absolute most complex, that is when you are truly in your element. Of course, there is a catch. The downside is craving complexity in a ridiculously simple world. When life is just a bit too quiet and simple, and there's no noise to filter out, your highly active brain is going to desperately search for patterns that just aren't there. It craves complexity so much that it will turn a ridiculously simple, everyday choice into a remarkably complex and completely unnecessary puzzle. Okay, so how do we fix this? Let's move to the resolution: mastering your mental gears. Let's talk about how to put the power of that executive control directly back into your hands. If you have ever felt really smart, but somehow slow in everyday life, you need to reframe your perspective. You have to remind yourself constantly, you aren't lacking sense, not at all. You just prioritize logic and context over a basic automatic reaction. Your mind is simply doing significantly more work than the mundane situation actually requires. Really, it's working exactly as it was highly designed to do. So here's what you do. The next time you face a super mundane task, follow this simple sequence. First, acknowledge the task. Second, harness that natural 3-second cognitive pause we talked about. And third, use that pause to just observe the situation exactly as it is. Try to do it without actively overanalyzing it or trying to build some massive world picture. Just observe. I challenge you to go test this observation technique out in the real world. Right after you close this explainer, try making a conscious, reasoned choice in a totally mundane moment, rather than just automatically defaulting to your complex reflexes. See how it changes things. Because ultimately, real intelligence isn't just about what you know, it's about controlling how your brain operates. So can you consciously switch between deep processing and direct action? If you can master that switch, you master the logic gap. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.